Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, members of the Senate and of the House of Representatives, yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by the naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The United States was at peace with that nation and, at the solicitation of Japan, was still in conversation with its government and its emperor, looking towards the maintenance of peace in the Pacific. Indeed, 1 hour after Japanese air squadrons had commenced bombing in the American island of Oahu, the Japanese ambassador to the United States and his colleagues delivered to our Secretary of State a formal reply to a recent American message. And while this reply stated that it seemed useless to continue the existing diplomatic negotiation, it contained no threat or hint of war or armed attack. It will be recorded that the distance of Hawaii from Japan makes it obvious that the attack was deliberately planned many days or even weeks ago. During the interviewing time, the Japanese government has deliberately sought to deceive the United States by false statements and expressions of hope for our continued peace. The attack yesterday on the Hawaiian island has caused severe damage to American naval and military forces. I regret to tell you that many American lives have been lost. In addition, American ships have been reported torpedoed on the high seas between San Francisco and Honolulu. Yesterday, the Japanese government also launched an attack against Malaya. Last night, Japanese forces attacked Hong Kong. Last night, Japanese forces attacked Guam. Last night, Japanese forces attacked the Philippine Islands. Last night, the Japanese attacked the Wake Islands. And this morning, the Japanese attacked Midway Island. Japan has therefore undertaken a surprise offensive extending throughout the Pacific area. The facts of yesterday and today speak for themselves. The people of the United States have already formed their opinions and well understand the implications to the very life and safety of our nation. As Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, I have directed that all measures be taken for our defense. But always will our whole nation remember the character of onslaught against us. No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through absolute victory. I believe that I will interpret the will of the Congress and of the people when I assert that we will not only defend ourselves to the uttermost, but we will make it very certain that this form of treachery shall never again endanger us. Hostilities exist. There is no blinking at the fact that our people, our territory, and our interests are in grave danger. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unabounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph. So help us God. I ask that Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack on Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Pearl Harbor, Address to the Nation. On December 7, 1941, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, also known as FDR, had to address the United States with a speech of infamy. On this day, one of the U.S.'s naval bases, known as Pearl Harbor, was struck. The Japanese Empire planned the bombing because Hawaii is 3,850 miles from Japan. Japan only wanted to besmirch Pearl Harbor once. Being located in a lagoon on the island of Oahu, Hawaii, this attack killed 2,403 U.S. soldiers and only killing 64 of Japanese soldiers. Such ships known as the USS Arizona, USS Oklahoma, and the USS Utah were all torpedoed and sank, injuring 1,178 U.S. soldiers. The U.S. could only capture one Japanese man, known as Japanese sailor Kazu Sakimaki, and none of the Japan's men were injured. Franklin Roosevelt addressed the nation with pure heartfelt emotion, with pure infamy. He did not want to address the nation of the tragic ongoings. He moved the nation with such emotion that almost every person up to this day has known or at least has heard what happened on December 7th. If not, you should know a little from the previous information given. Pearl Harbor was a United States military base that Japan had premeditatedly the attack on, all because we stopped being allies with them. No, they ended the peace with a letter to the Secretary of State an hour after the commenced bombing. Weren't we at peace? The United States was at peace with that nation. At the solicitation of Japan was still in conversation with its government and its emperor looking toward the maintenance of peace in the Pacific. FDR connected the address by using yesterday and used the military bases that Japan had also attacked, known 6 military bases: Malaya, December 6th, Hong Kong, Guam, the Philippine Islands, and Wake Island on December 7th, and on December 8th, 1941, Midway Island was attacked. The address increases by day using yesterday, last night, and this morning. When Roosevelt is talking about what attack, he connected 3 paragraphs by yesterday. He used last night and this morning, complete opposites of each other, but had every reason to inform the nation of what has happened. He wanted to tell what was attacked last night, but he did not want to say it all in one sentence. He wanted to add more emphasis by using several sentences with the same beginning phrase, last night, and ended it with attacked. He also changed his words from last night and transitioned to this morning. He was a very wise man that everyone knew, either him or his wife, Eleanor, the First Lady of the United States. He didn't think this would happen, so he used the prefix UN with the words bound and provoked, unabounding and unprovoked. So help us God is a biblical reference, most commonly used by people who need help or guidance through rough times. Roosevelt's address was towards the nation, not just the United States, but all who felt they needed to know of the ongoings of their allies such as the United Kingdom and France. The Japanese and the United States have had tensions since 1937, and apparently the tension was released on December 6th through 8th in 1941. He wanted to include Congress and every person involved, but always will our whole nation remember the character or onslaught against us. The attack on Pearl Harbor was not a genocide. Even though many were killed, it is not considered a genocide because only 2,403 soldiers were killed. It was an onslaught. An onslaught is a fierce attack, also resembling such an attack, also known as aggression or being offensive.